In this video, we're going to delve into the new information I brought to the channel a while ago. Mainly, we'll focus on Scar King's army. How is it possible that Scar King has an army? And where does Shimu fit into this story? This new information could change everything we know about Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire so far. Join me, and we'll theorize together so that you can understand what I'm talking about. Welcome back to Nerds Insights, your daily source of nerdy news. This video will be a theory video with the standard monsterverse style editing I typically use when I don't have images to illustrate my points, okay? The video I posted a while back was informative. I didn't delve into explanations, rumors, or anything like that. I simply relayed the information, and much remained unexplained. The pieces didn't quite fit together, and the news came in fragments. As we try to piece it all together into a timeline, it gets a bit confusing when we enter the topic of Scar King's army. But before we truly get into that, please leave a like on this video and comment below. Does it make sense for there to be an army of Kongs in this movie, or would it be better to have just Scar and Shimu? For those who are unfamiliar with this information, I'll place a card up here now for you to watch, and then return to this video, or else you won't understand a thing. From now on, I'll assume you've watched that video and are aware of the information. Now, let's dive into the theories. Well, as mentioned in that video, in the leaked test screening, Scar King would manage to imprison Kong, and in their escape, he and his army would head to the surface, along with Shimu. This doesn't quite match with what we had before, and it feels incomplete. We know that Shimu will face Kong in Egypt, but we don't know when that will happen. If this information is correct, it gives the impression that Shimu is in the Hollow Earth and will escape along with Scar King, but I think the order will be different. I believe the sequence would go as follows. Scar King would imprison Kong, and Scar King, along with his army, would escape to the surface. Kong would manage to break free with the assistance of his son, whose name is still uncertain. We'll refer to him as Kong's son for now. He'd help Kong escape, and they would both head to the surface. When they reached the surface, Kong wouldn't immediately encounter Scar King and his army, as they would have already arrived. Instead, he'd confront Titanos, Shimu. So, it makes much more sense for Scar King to escape first, then release Shimu, and then the battle we already know about would occur, Kong versus Shimu. Following that, Godzilla would arrive to assist Kong since he would sense a powerful alpha presence. There would be a clash between the atomic breath and Shimu's freezing breath, with Shimu gaining the upper hand, freezing both Kong and Godzilla for a considerable amount of time. After that, we don't know what will happen or what their plan will be, but up to this point, I believe the movie would play out this way. To recap, the movie is set 3 years after Godzilla vs. Kong. It begins with Godzilla battling a giant spider titan, defeating it easily, and then resting and sleeping in Rome. The scene transitions to Kong, who has spent 3 years in the Hollow Earth searching for his family. He hasn't found anyone, until he stumbles upon Scar King's lair. Due to Godzilla's atomic blast that crossed the Earth, it somehow weakened Scar King's prison. I have no idea about the nature of this prison, whether it's chains or a magical confinement. I can't say for sure. Regardless, it would weaken, and Scar King would escape through an opening created when he pulled Kong. Allowing Kong to be imprisoned, Scar King would flee with his army to the surface. As he escapes, he would allow his army to go out and dominate the world. In a sense, he would release Titanos Shimu, and Kong would be freed by his son. Both would then surface, and Kong would immediately encounter Shimu in battle. Godzilla would awaken and also head to Egypt for a showdown. However, Kong and Godzilla would lose the battle and be frozen, which is more or less the midpoint of the film. It's important to note that Godzilla would appear at the beginning and then again towards the middle to the end of the movie, as it's primarily a Kong-focused film, with Godzilla having less screen time. So, we have a general idea of what will happen up to the midway point of the film. Even as we theorize and base our assumptions on the available information, I still struggle to see the logic in having an army. It would become quite convoluted, especially since I plan to make more videos about theories, the Monarch's secret entity, and the titans that will assist Kong and Godzilla in this battle. If there is indeed an army, we would need more kaijus on Kong and Godzilla's side. When we mention an army, we're not talking about just 10 Kongs. I imagine it would be closer to 100, for a real army spread around the world. So, we would need characters like Rodan, Mothra, Behemoth, Camazotz, or others fighting alongside Kong and Godzilla. We don't have more Godzillas to fight, unless there's an evolution of Dagon. We'll need a Dagon-type character to appear, and they'll fight with the surface's inhabitants. I believe that if there's going to be an army, it doesn't sit well with me, but if it's going to happen, the battle won't be confined to a single location. The battle would take place in different parts of the world, because I can't see the sense in an army. What would their purpose be? If it's not world domination by Scar King, I can't see any other reason. Stay tuned to the channel because I'll be bringing a video with a theory based on that information about the Monarch's secret entity that will aid Kong and Godzilla in this battle. Be on the lookout because I believe that Biollante or Destroya could be on the way, or something inspired by them. They're coming, and I think it will be well worth watching, so stay tuned. And in the meantime, leave a comment about what you think of Scar King's army. Do you think it makes sense to have an army in addition to the two antagonists? Or do you agree with me that it should just be the two villains? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts about this new information. Remember that it's all theory and leaks, not official. When it's official, you'll see it clearly marked in the title or on the thumbnail. When it's not official, you can be sure it's a leak, information, or rumors. Alright, don't forget to take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.